Okay, we're going to see how to convert percent to the decimal or fraction. So if I have a percent, we will know how to convert it to the decimal. Let's look at the example. If I have 50%, in order to convert 50% to the decimal, I have to multiply 50 by a factor. Okay, we have Richard online. Richard, can you tell me what would be the factor here? What do you have to multiply the 50 with to change it to a decimal?
100.
No, if I multiply 50 by 100, that gives me what? What is 50 times 100, Richard?
Okay, that's 5,000. Is it 2 then? Because I know I'm not sure how to do this one.
Okay, that's fine. What we need to find a factor here, so when I multiply it by 50, would give me a corresponding number in terms of decimal. You know what 50% means. 50% means half of something. If I say you can have a 50% of my apple, it means like you have half of my apple, right? So what is what is that 50% in terms of decimal and fraction? We should know what would be that number would be, right? What is this, Richard?
Well, yeah, I know what the answers are. I just don't know how we're supposed to solve the equation. The answer is 0.50 and the fraction is 1/2.
Exactly. So we know 50% is 0.5 or 1/2. Now, you can kind of guess here. If I have 50 here, 50 times what give me 1/2? Let's look at it that way. Can you guess that? Or
No, I'm sorry. I don't know where to start on this one. I don't know how to find the number that we're supposed to factor it by.
okay, so the factor is 1 over 100. So you have to remember that. So every time you have a percent A, if you multiply that number by 1 over 100, then that gives me a corresponding number in terms of fraction. Because if you look at this carefully, I have 50 over 1. So this would be 50 over 1 times 1 over 100. So that would give me 50 over 100. So when I reduce this, what do I get, Richard?
We would get 1/2.
Yes. You get 5 over 10, which is equal to 1/2. So this is the factor that you have to remember. 1 over 100 to multiply it with a number here, if I have a%, to get the corresponding number in terms of fraction. What is 1 over 100 in decimal, Richard?
0.01.
Very good, 0.01. So once you know one factor, the other one is pretty simple to figure out. So if you multiply a number by 0.01, then that gives me a corresponding number in terms of decimal. So 50 times 0.01, what is that equal to, Richard?
0.50.
0.5. That's exactly what we want. So you just have to remember these factors here. Okay, 1 over 100 here. Okay, very good. So what if I have? Go ahead.
Those factors are always the same. So whenever you need to find or convert a percent to a fraction, it's always times 1 over 100. And if you need to convert a percent to a decimal, it's always times 0.01.
Yes, definitely. The factor always would be 1 over 100, and 1 over 100 same as 0.01. So every time you have a%, you want to convert it to the fraction. You take this number, whatever this a is, multiplied by 1 over 100. That gives you a corresponding number in terms of fraction. And you take that number, you multiply by 0.01. that give you a corresponding number in terms of decimal. So exactly, the factor would be always the same. So if I want to go back and convert a decimal or fraction, convert it to the percent, let's take a look at that. So if I have b here and I want to convert it to the percent, Richard, can you guess what do you have to multiply b with? What would be a factor here?
Is b a fraction or a decimal?
Okay, you see, if I have a number in terms of decimal or fraction, let's look at the example. Let's say I have 0.5. That was the example we had earlier. If the b is 0.5, it says convert 0.5 to percent. This is here we have a decimal. You want to convert it to the percent. So the question is, what do you multiply this number b, or in this case 0.5? What's the factor here to get it into the percent? We know it's going to be 50%. So what is this factor here, do you think?
100.
Very good. Now it's 100. Yeah. So the factor is 100. So if you have a number in terms of decimal or fraction, like b or 0.5, and you want to convert it back to the percent, that's all you do. Just take that number, you multiply by 100, and then you put the percent sign in front of that. So if I have a number like 1/2 or 0.5, if I multiply that by 100, so here I have, let's say 0.5. If I multiply that number 0.5 by 100, what is 0.5 times 100, Richard?
0.5 times 100 is 50.
Right. See, we converted to the percent. Don't forget that you have to put a percent sign in front of that now. Same thing here. If I have 1/2, I'm converting 1/2, which is a fraction. I want to convert it to the percent. So if I multiply that by 100, so the factor is 100. That's what you have to remember. So what is 1/2 times 100, Richard?
Well, you would have to multiply it by the reciprocal of 100, which would be 100 over 1, which would
No, we don't multiply by reciprocal. Here we have 1/2 times 100, so it's 1/2 times 100 over 1, so it would be 1 times 100, 2 times 1. Okay, go on. That's equal to what, Richard? So what is 1/2 times 100 over 1?
Oh, I'm sorry, my microphone was off and I was talking to myself. You would reduce that to 50 over 1, which would then be equal to 50.
You mean 100 over 2 and then reduce it to 50. You're right. Okay, yeah. So don't forget to put the percent sign in front of that. So once again, let's review this. If I have a percent, a could be any number. It could be decimal, mixed number, improper fraction, or decimal, whatever we want. If I have a percent, I want to convert it to the decimal. I have to remember that the factor is 0.01. If I take this number a, multiply by 0.01, I'll get the corresponding number in terms of decimal. If I have a% and I want to convert it to the fraction, if I multiply by 1 over 100, that is a factor that give me 50 over 1 times 1 over 100, and that give me a corresponding number in terms of fraction, which is 1/2. Now you know you can always convert here from decimal or fraction, because 0.5 is 1/2, 1/2 is equal to 0.5. So when the number is given to you and you've been asked to convert it to a decimal fraction, you have to see which one is the easiest route for you to go. In this case, it doesn't make a difference. But if I have 33 and 1/3%, let's take a look at this example. You want to convert 33 and 1/3% to decimal and fraction. Okay, which route would be easier to follow, Richard?
Multiply 33 and 1/3 by, would be easier to follow the fractional rate because it's written as a fraction.
Exactly. So if the number is given to me in terms of a fraction or mixed fraction, would be easier to go this route. Later I can convert it to decimal if I want to. But if I wanted to convert 0.5% to decimal fraction, so probably would be easier to go this route. Multiply 0.5 times 0.01, and that give me a corresponding number in terms of decimal first. And then I can convert it to fraction if I want to. So let's see. First of all, why do we need to convert these percent to decimal or fraction? Richard, what do you think?
Different applications.
Well, if I tell you you can have 33 and 1/3% of my pizza, you probably don't know what I'm talking about, right? But if I change this, if I convert this 33 and 1/3% to a decimal and fraction, that probably give me a better understanding of what it is. And yes, for different application, we can convert this 33 and 1/3% into a decimal or fraction to carry it on into the next calculation that we have. So what is 33 and 1/3%? Let's take a look at 33 and 1/3 first. How do you convert this into improper fraction, Richard?
To an improper fraction, you would multiply the denominator times the whole number plus the numerator.
Right, so one shortcut we learned from previous sessions, 33 times 3 plus 1 over 3 then, right? So which is equal to what?
See, 3 times 33 is 99 plus 1 is 100, so it'd be 100 over 3.
Right, so if I want to convert 100 over 3% to the fraction, I have to multiply this 100 over 3 times the factor, which is 1 over 100. So what is that equal to, Richard?
Uh, 100 over 300.
Which is equal to what?
Which is equal to 1/3.
Right, you could also look at it here, before you multiply these, you could reduce 100 and 100, you see it's 1/3. So if I tell you, if you can have 1/3 of my pizza, you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? But if I tell you, if you can have 33 and 1/3% of my pizza, it's kind of a little difficult to picture it. So that is the same as 1/3. Okay, Richard, did you have a comment?
No, I was just going to say, but what if I don't like pizza? I'm just joking.
Yeah, I got it. Yes. Exactly. So, like when you go, maybe bring your case to a lawyer. Say, okay, I'm gonna take 33 and 1/3% of whatever I get in this deal. Yes, they are talking about collecting 1/3 of uh, what the outcome of that case would be. Okay, does that make sense now, Richard?
Yes, it makes sense now.